There was tension in the air as Formula One came home to Great Britain. Fernando Alonso and Kevin Magnussen locking horns in first practice.
Magnussen tried to hit me 2 times. I don't know what he thinks.
Fresh from Haas's strongest showing of the season in Austria, Romain Grosjean's luck ran out as he dropped the car at the apex of Turn 1 and found himself in the barriers at Abbey. Sergei Sirotkin was also in the wars, his Williams snapping away and pitching him into the gravel at Luffield, while Kimi Raikkonen rotated his Ferrari at Brooklands. The two Red Bulls of Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen both finding the limits of adhesion as they tested a new front wing. But the session would end in disappointment for the winner last time out in Austria as Verstappen pulled over on the start-finish straight with a gearbox problem. No issues for Mercedes though, who looked determined to bounce back from their double DNF last time out. Their upgraded car was looking ominously quick as Lewis Hamilton, seeking his 5th win in a row at Silverstone, stormed to the top time in FP1. Hamilton was 3/10 up on teammate Valtteri Bottas with Sebastian Vettel in P3, but his Ferrari half a second adrift of his championship rival. Can he or anyone else stop the Silver Arrows taking another victory here at Silverstone? It only takes a split second to go from hero to zero in Formula One, and Austria winner Max Verstappen did just that as he crashed out of free practice 2 in Great Britain.
You okay, Max?
No, mate. The rear is damaged.
Charles Leclerc recovered from his spin at Brooklands to engage in some elbows-out action with Fernando Alonso. The pair briefly battled around the circuit that hosted the first ever Formula One Grand Prix in 1950. Severe problems for Pierre Gasly, whose Toro Rosso gave up the ghost halfway through the session.
Your problem, your problem. Should I stop?
Okay, stop, switch off.
And there were off-track excursions for Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll in the Williams, who was also released from his pit garage straight into the path of a perplexed Kimi Raikkonen.
Hey, come on.
Raikkonen was struggling for grip on his high fuel runs, but Ferrari seemed to have no problem to unlock their pure pace. Vettel topping the time charts on a Friday for the first time in 2018, ahead of the two Mercedes of Hamilton and Bottas. With the top two separated by just a single point in the title race and Britain going through a spell of sustained sunshine, the heat really is on for the world's finest drivers as they battle for victory at the British Grand Prix. A huge crash for Brendan Hartley was the big talking point of free practice 3 at Silverstone, as a suspension failure on his Toro Rosso pitched him into the barriers at high speed. Fortunately, the New Zealander escaped unhurt, but the high-speed accident still came as a big shock to both teammate Pierre Gasly and his best friend Daniel Ricciardo. Drivers spent 80% of their time on full throttle at Silverstone, and the Flying Finn was loving it. Kimi Raikkonen raced his way to the top of the timesheets, half a second clear of the Mercedes of Valtteri Bottas, who got into a tangle with a sausage curb. But home hero Lewis Hamilton, seeking a record 6th victory on British soil, wouldn't be denied, going 1/10 of a second faster than the Ferrari, much to the delight of his home crowd. Fresh from their first double points finish since China 2015, the revitalised Sauber team was shining too. Charles Leclerc and Marcus Ericsson both in the top 10, and again looking on form, alongside the red-hot Haas duo of Romain Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen. So with the sun out and the main contenders closely matched, the stage is set for a stunning weekend of racing here at Silverstone.
We're coming home, and doesn't it look great? Welcome along to qualifying at Silverstone, the home of the Formula One World Championship. And we thought we'd have 20 drivers going for pole today, but we've got 19. Brendan Hartley, big crash down at Brooklands today, and his car hasn't got time to be rebuilt. This is what happened. He put the brakes on, and the front left wheel came off. Absolute explosion with the suspension failing there. The British fans and the Williams fans are not going to like that. Now, is that down at Luffield? It's at Brooklands. So it's another and a red flag stopping the session almost immediately.
He's just dropped it under braking, and then you start the downshift process and it's locked the rear axle. It's like pulling the handbrake on very hard effectively, and it hasn't hit the barriers, but he is out of qualifying.
Someone else has gone off. In the background there, you can see Sergei Sirotkin's Williams.
I love this corner.
He
more than Sergei does. So that's both Williams then, the back end of the car, very unstable.
as the checkered flag is out. There will be no Hartley, there will be no Stroll going through the Q2 as Gasly goes 11th. We're now looking at Stoffel Van Dorn, only 17th fastest. He's out in Q1 for McLaren. Sergei Sorokin can't get out of Q1. Both Williams knocked out in the first part of qualifying. Carlos Sainz is in the drop zone at the moment and has just got a few more corners to try and sort things out. Perez is also down there. Hulkenberg is also down there. And one big name could be going out now at the end of Q1. Carlos Sainz crosses the line, only 14th fastest. Sergio Perez will be next to cross the line. We look for the Pink Panther and the Force India crossing the line now. He goes 11th fastest. So Perez should be out of danger and not a problem. Hulkenberg is in the bottom 5. Not anymore. His teammate Carlos Sainz drops into the bottom 5 as Hulkenberg puts his Renault in the top 10. And the big name that drops out unexpectedly, Carlos Sainz, knocked out in Q1. Romain Grosjean puts the Haas in 7th. Either Grosjean or Magnussen could become today the first Haas driver in the team's history to reach Q3 for 3 consecutive races to show the improvement of that team. Watching Leclerc now through the Vale chicane, and he's currently 15th because he hasn't set a time so far. What's his first time like? Good enough to take him into the top 10. Ocon now round the final corner trying to improve his position inside the top 10. He can't. He stays 10th. He's in danger at the moment. Kevin Magnussen is next, crosses the line 8th fastest, so he stays in the top 10. Sergio Perez is 12th. Ocon's out qualified him again. Fernando Alonso can't get his McLaren into Q3. That's his qualifying over and done with. Here's Perez now. Thought he'd finished his lap. He hasn't. He does actually stay 12th. He wasn't improving on it. Marcus Ericsson gets knocked out of qualifying. He's 14th fastest. His teammate Charles Leclerc is next to cross the line, 9th fastest for him. Grosjean stays in the top 10, and we do have 2 Haas drivers in the top 10 for the 3rd consecutive race. Haas have got a driver, one of their drivers, and both today into that Q3 position. Pierre Gasly is on a personal best lap. It could be that Toro Rosso spoiled Esteban Ocon's day. Not quite. He moves ahead of Marcus Ericsson, but only into 14th. What about Nico Hulkenberg, though? Still scrapping away for Renault. He couldn't improve on his time either and stays 11th fastest. And Hulkenberg might have out-qualified Carlos Sainz today and keep up his record of always out-qualifying his teammate at Silverstone, but he can't get into Q3. Onwards now towards the Vale chicane we come. Kimi Raikkonen has a 1:26.2 on the board. Kimi Raikkonen, who's been out-qualified by Vettel in the last 8 races. Can Lewis Hamilton beat Kimi Raikkonen's time and put his car on provisional pole? Yes, he can. First man this weekend into the 1:25s. Hamilton's arrived to the party as Valtteri Bottas puts his Mercedes on the front row as well. But we're looking at Sebastian Vettel, who is going quicker through the middle sector than Hamilton or Bottas managed. Verstappen's 4th, Raikkonen's 3rd, Ricciardo's 5th, and we're on board now with Sebastian Vettel crosses the line to spoil Hamilton's party by 5/100ths of a second. Sebastian Vettel, pain in the neck or not, has put his Ferrari on provisional pole.
No DRS.
Okay, then we are looking into the problem.
Sebastian Vettel, a 10th down in the first sector. He's not found the time he needed in the first part of his lap. Hamilton crosses the line. Hamilton is back on pole position. They love that in the grandstands, but it is not all done and dusted yet. Valtteri Bottas will be next to cross the line in the other Mercedes. Can Bottas get on the front row? No! Valtteri Bottas misses out on a front row place for the first time in 4 races. Kimi Raikkonen, meanwhile, was very impressive through the first sector. Don't count him out of the equation just yet. Through the Vale chicane, Sebastian Vettel now was on pole position. Hamilton took it off him. Vettel crosses the line. He has missed out on pole at Silverstone. Hamilton survives one Ferrari attack, but there's another one coming his way. And this time, it is the Iceman keeping his cool until the very, very end. Kimi Raikkonen, can he get on pole at Silverstone again? No, he has missed out. Lewis Hamilton gets a 6th British Grand Prix pole position. It is a record for this event.
Yes, get in here. Get in there, Lewis. You can hear it, mate. You can hear that crowd. Nice work, Lewis. British Grand Prix pole.
Hamilton ties Ayrton Senna in Brazil for the most poles by a driver in the home Grand Prix and sets a British Grand Prix record of a Sergei Sirotkin pole position. And Lance Stroll will start from the pit lane, as will Brendan Hartley, if they can get his Toro Rosso going, and that is not 100% guaranteed at the moment. 5 lights ahead of the drivers at the British Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go. Sebastian Vettel gets a flyer ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Valtteri Bottas on the inside as well. Bottas might have a better line through, and he's beaten Lewis Hamilton into turn 2. Kimi Raikkonen on the outside as they head down towards Village. Vettel from Bottas and Hamilton. Hamilton's gone round and he's clashed, and Kimi Raikkonen involved as well. That is massive disappointment for the British crowd. Verstappen ahead of Ricciardo, ahead of Raikkonen, then Nico Hülkenberg, and then comes the Sauber of Charles Leclerc. Valtteri Bottas pursuing Sebastian Vettel, then comes Max Verstappen, Ricciardo, and then Raikkonen, Hülkenberg, Leclerc, Ocon, Magnussen, and Sainz completed the top 10 on board. But Kimi Raikkonen going through Cops now, flat out alongside the Red Bull, and Raikkonen gets ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. There is guts and there is bravery. Ricciardo trying to fight back, but he can't get through at Maggotts. Already Sebastian Vettel is past him. Kimi Raikkonen got blocked off by Valtteri Bottas. Bottas then steams through, and this is where the action really starts, as Perez did get turned round by Ericsson. And here's the really bad news for Kimi Raikkonen, a 10-second penalty for causing a collision. Kimi Raikkonen crashing into Lewis Hamilton. The stewards are giving him a 10-second penalty. Lewis Hamilton now, Renault power, Mercedes power, that is no contest. That's like heavyweight against flyweight, quite frankly.
Let me know for the front wing. At the moment, I'm in crazy dive for the gate.
I told you. Yeah, I told you already. But I don't have a front end anymore.
Understood, Kimi.
Hamilton and Raikkonen are putting in an awful lot of moves, aren't they, in this race? A lot of overtaking to be done. And here comes Charles Leclerc, front wing adjustment, medium tyres going on for him, and trying an undercut on Nico Hülkenberg.
He's going slowly. That's not full speed for a pit exit.
Spark 4.
There's a problem.
Stop the car, switch on.
This is the moment. I think he went a little bit hard early doors, didn't he? Probably took a bit too much out of his tyres. And this, clearly, is for Lewis Hamilton.
Marcus Ericsson has a very heavy crash in the Sauber. So a safety car has been brought out. Valtteri Bottas is staying out.
So we got this removes any kind of doubt as to Sebastian Vettel. So that's quite a smart move. It's an obvious move from Ferrari to get him in and put on. It's a soft tyre towards the end. And
brand new set, Ted, of new softs.
Both Ferraris did have a brand new set of soft tyres. The second Red Bull now coming towards me, and Kimi Raikkonen as well. So
Mercedes, who think they have better tyre wear in this race, have left both of their drivers out for track position. Valtteri Bottas leads the race from Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton. Marcus Ericsson's getting out of the car. That's great news for absolutely everybody. Oh!
He turned in from the white line, maybe a little bit of extra curve, but that's what happens when you're a racing driver. You know, it's not about if you crash, it's when you crash from time to time.
The safety car has gone, and so has Valtteri Bottas, leading this British Grand Prix from Sebastian Vettel. Hamilton under pressure from Verstappen, Raikkonen under pressure from Ricciardo, but Hamilton staying ahead of the Red Bull and Raikkonen keeping clear of the other Red Bull as they make their way through Club. And now Kimi Raikkonen can get a good slipstream behind Max Verstappen and continue his pursuit. Out in front, Valtteri Bottas from Sebastian Vettel on their way down towards Village.
Yeah, Hamilton struggling for warm-up initial grip, it seemed to me. He should have it covered now. Bottas with the Ferrari in his move.
Kimi Raikkonen and Max Verstappen going wheel to wheel. Raikkonen almost had to go into another county to get past the Red Bull, but he's managed to do it. Kimi Raikkonen gets Max Verstappen at the restart, but Verstappen is going to come back at him, and through Luffield and onto Woodcote they go. Verstappen is now back ahead of Kimi Raikkonen, but for how much longer? Raikkonen on the inside towards Copse, going wheel to wheel with Max Verstappen, gets the inside line, but Verstappen manages to hold on to the place. And someone's had a big off as well at the start here, and I wonder if that's Carlos Sainz. That is Carlos Sainz that has gone off in the Renault
turn into me, mate.
Are you okay, man?
Yeah, but
Yeah, we see it, man. It's not nice. Yeah.
Sebastian Vettel right behind Valtteri Bottas here, pulls out, Bottas defends and just makes the corner ahead of the Ferrari and avoids contact there. But Sebastian Vettel was very, very close, as now through Luffield we go and onto Woodcote. Valtteri Bottas gets on the power and he's going to have to try and hang on to this lead while his tyres warm up and struggle just a bit longer. Raikkonen having a go at Verstappen behind, into Stoke corner, Kimi Raikkonen ahead of Max Verstappen, what a great move! Verstappen's off!
They must have made contact, surely.
I said that Ricciardo was getting close. Verstappen spins off. His teammate speeds past him.
Vettel very close in turn 5, as close as he's been. He'll get DRS, a little bit of movement from the back of the Mercedes of Bottas.
Verstappen's going really slowly down the main straight. I think he actually might have a bit more trouble on his hands as Sebastian Vettel goes down the inside on Valtteri Bottas. What a late move, what a late lunge, what a brilliant move by Sebastian Vettel to retake the lead of the British Grand Prix. Out of the race and before the bridge on the Wellington Straight. Pulling over to the side as Hamilton now has a go at Valtteri Bottas. And Hamilton moves up into second place, and whether that was orchestrated or not, that is a very important place swap and position change for Hamilton.
Bit of oversteer on the exit, and now he's a sitting duck. That's what he should have done when Vettel was coming at him.
Kimi Raikkonen up then into the podium places. The British crowd, the majority of them were hoping for a golden day for the Silver Arrow. It might just be a red letter day instead in the destiny of the championship, as Sebastian Vettel wins the British Grand Prix and leads home Lewis Hamilton in second place and Kimi Raikkonen in third. The fight for 5 world titles goes on. Sebastian Vettel has the lead at the end of the British Grand Prix and a victory today.